Right. Hi. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Hi. So first of all, some piece of information, because I know that some of you came mostly for the anime film for the festival, and as maybe you don't know, this is the industry part of the anime film. We are called Visegrad Animation Forum. You can ask for these booklets at the festival center. We are like pitching and the platform to promote the shorts and TV series from Central and East Europe. And if you have any interesting animation projects, you can apply next year to take part in the pitching. If you take part in the short section, you can win €2,000 for the development of your next project. You can also take part in the TV series pitching. And this is only one part of the Visegrad Animation Forum, because we are also giving expert training for all of the participants. And also, as you can see here, we are like having in a program interesting panels, lectures, and other events, but mostly concentrate on the production side of the making animation. So at the Ani Film, you can see incredible program. You can it's all about the films. And at the Visegrad Animation Forum, it's mostly all about the production of interesting, amazing films. So, right. So this panel, I think it's interesting. I hope it's interesting for everybody, because as I can see, most of you are probably producers. Maybe can I ask the producers to put the hands up? Who are the producers? Okay. And who are the directors or involved in the production any other way? All right. So we are like mostly the producers and also filmmakers. So it's great, and this is how it looks like usually. So we are making the panels, how to get money. So then a lot of producers are interested in. So let me first. I will not invite our panelists to the middle. They prefer to stay here, but let me introduce them. Martin Vandas, he's a producer from Czech Republic, and he's gonna give us the feedback and like interesting information from the point of view of the producer. So how to apply for the regional film funds and how does it work in practice. Then we have two experts from France and England. Abigail Addison, Abigail Addison from London. She's gonna give us some information. Okay, let's say like some information about how does it work in England. So how you can apply with your project to the British funds, to the regional one, but also like the Film London or any other like a smaller division of the fund. And Olivier Catherin, he's gonna give us the feedback about how does it work in France. As you can see, our panel is not only about the France, but Olivier prepared the presentation. So the first part of our meeting gonna be devoted to the French production. So I'm gonna give the mic first to Olivier. He's gonna give us a short introduction. How does it work in France? Then Abigail will say something about England, and Martin will just fulfill this block of information with the Czech point of view. So for now, yeah, Olivier, if I can ask you to come here and just say a few words. And maybe if I can ask you to say a bit more about what you're doing now and what are the recently projects you are involved in.
Okay, hello everybody. I used to be a producer. I had a company called Les Trois Ours, the Three Bears, and now I'm in charge of animation in general for the northern region of France called Les Hauts-de-France. It's about 6 million people in this region. And I'm also teaching animation production. And I'm one of the creators of a new event that will held in Lille the 8th of December, next 8th of December. It is European Animation Awards. We are going to create a ceremony to award the talents in animation for Europe. And the award will be called the Émile Awards, a tribute to Émile Reynaud and Émile Cole. It's a European association, and our president is Peter Lord, and I have some flyers here if you're interested. So I will try to explain you how it works for short animation in France. I will try to do it shortly, but it's not so easy. You know, France is a country of cinema, and maybe especially in animation, we have the possibility to do some productions. So we have a huge industry now that started in the beginning of the 80s from the will of the state. And we not only have an industry, we also have possibilities to produce some short films, and we have many, many animation schools, something like 100 now in the country. Some of them are very famous, some of them not, but we have many people coming from these schools. So we have to pay attention for them and try to find them some job to do. The principles of this funding system, there is different level. The most important part, especially for short film, is National Film Center, in France, CNC. It is a national funding system, and most of the time for the short film, it's something like 50% of the budget, sometimes more. With that, there is also regional funds, and there is also broadcasters involved in the production. I will detail everything about this. And there is also diffusion, which is very important in France. That means that television are diffusing short films, but also we can have some theatrical release in movie theaters, especially for short animation for children. There is something like more than 20 different companies producing short animations. And we have a collective. That means all these producers are joined together and they meet from time to time. They are pushing things and they are discussing all together and they are cooperating together, doing co-productions. And it's all over France, not only in Paris, of course. There is, you see? It's the main producers, there is others. So there is on the north, a big list in Paris, but there is also everywhere many companies. Most of these companies are producing short films, but they are producing also TV series or feature films or documentaries or advertising, or it depends. Okay, now the general system, I think there's something missing. Okay. I will do it. A few words about the CNC. You know, the CNC is not funded by the state. It's a money from the industry. That means that if you go to cinema to watch a film, if you screen a film on television, if you watch a film online, there is a part of the money going to the CNC. And then after the CNC, is investing the money in the industry, in art creation, and also into cinemas, into festivals, into associations. The main idea is to have a strong cinema, you need all the part of this activity. The industrial part, the creative part, and the diffusion. There are different ways to apply to the CNC. I'm a bit troubled because there's something missing. I don't understand why. I will see. Okay, well, okay. I don't know why, but the first part is selective way. So you apply to the CNC, you send your project, and there is two levels of selection. First level is just for animation project, and from this animation project, the commission select something like 2 or 3 projects. There is 10 commission a year. From these 2 or 3 projects, you're going to the second level, regrouping all short film, all kind of short films. There is something like 30 projects on this level, and from these 30 projects, there is only 5 to 7 films selected. That means this way, we have something like only 10 short animation granted a year, and something like 70 or 80 applying. So it is a very selecting way. Very difficult to get the grant in this way. But we also have this short film production program funding. That means that it's not dedicated to the film project itself, it's dedicated to the producers. If you are a producer, you produce short films, and you have some success, you have some selection at festivals, some awards, you sell films to televisions, things like that, you get some points. It's a point system, and considering to these points, you have an amount of money that you can spend the way you want. From 80,000 to 150,000 euros. So you can choose your film, the film you produce. So it's not connected to the project. That gives some freedom to the producer to involve or not on a project. There is another system called COSIP. COSIP is part of the funding system of the CNC, but it's connected to audiovisual investment. That means, in the French system, if a broadcaster puts money in a production, the CNC puts more or less the same level of money. But of course, the broadcasters give some money to the CNC because they diffuse some films. Okay, so the system is made for TV series mainly, of course, but it can also be for short films. If you have a broadcaster involved in the production of the film, you can get some money from the COSIP, more or less on the level of the investments of the television, sometimes more if they like a lot the project. So it's just for a few films. There is also a grant-connected that you can get after doing the film, after realization. If you didn't have the grant before doing the film, you can apply, you send the film, and there is a commission, and they can give you some money after doing the film. So it's not a huge amount of money, but it's very welcome because you already did the film, so you can invest it. And there is also another thing, it's new technologies funding. It's for all kinds of films, but it also concerns short animation. You can get this film after getting the funding from the CNC. It's to complement the funding. If you explore some specific techniques, new techniques, things like that, you can get this money, and it could be 30,000 euros, so it could be very important. It's the idea that it's important for short film because sometimes short films are really searching new ways to use techniques to do some films, and very important for animation because if you are doing a TV series and even a feature film, you don't try things. You can try only doing short films. And we also have this innovative project funding. That means it's a grant for developing the projects. So there is different level. You can have it on the concept level, and you can have 7,500 euros. Writing level, development level, this one goes to the producer. The first one goes to the authors. And you need to have a film more than 8 minutes length. What is important in this system for the CNC is it is a very open system. You don't have to be French to apply. You just need to have a French producer. It could be co-production, major or minor co-production, and if you get the money from the CNC, you can spend the money everywhere you want. You don't have to spend it in France for short film. It's specific for short film. So if you have a French producer, you live and you work in Denmark, for instance, you can do the whole film in Denmark, for instance, spend everything in your country with your own team. So it's a very open system. If you have a co-production, you'd get less money from the CNC, something like 50,000 euro. If the producer, the French producer, is the main producer, you can get some 80 to 90,000 euros to do the film. Okay, now regional fundings. We have something like 13 regions now in France. It changed lately. Each of these regions has a funding system, so they can invest in complement of the CNC in these short films. So it depends on the region. It can go to 10 to even 50,000 euros now. And this funding system is connected to the activity in animation in this region. So it depends. But there is always a rule. You have to spend a part, no, not a part, more than the money they give you in the region. 160%, in fact, of the money they give you, you have to spend in the region. So the region is connected to the expenses in the place. For some of this, well, no, I'll talk to this about this a bit later. That means that it's possible to have some national co-productions. You can have a producer in, I don't know, in Brittany, for instance, and another one in southwest of France. So they can co-produce together and get their regional fund. And most of the time also the co-production are connected to the skills of the producers. Just a few words about my region, Hauts-de-France. The amount of the grant in this region is between 25 to 30,000 euros for a short film project. There is a specific commission for short films, mixing all kinds of short films. And there is something like 15 production companies, and 4 or 5 of them are really involved in short films, in animation, I mean. Okay, broadcasters, TV channels. They are pre-buying or co-producing short films. You know the difference? Pre-buying is buying before doing the film, and co-production, they are really involved in the production of the film. So there is 4 TV channels. Arte France is the most active, especially in animation. They are doing like 30 short animation a year. And they are giving something like between 12 to 20,000 euros for each film. Depends on the film, it depends if it's co-production or not. They can work with foreign companies. It's the only channel. So you don't need a French producer to work with Arte. Of course, you have to convince them and know them. It's easier with a French producer. For the other ones, they need a French producer. Canal Plus also, and France 2 and France 3, which are part of France Télévisions, are involved in something like 5 to 10 films a year, short animation, I mean, and they give a bit more money than Arte. Okay? And they diffuse the film, of course. They have special shows dedicated to short films. And most of the time there is some interviews about the director, things like that, little subjects. And it's very late, the evening. So it's dedicated to adults. They are absolutely not interested by children's film. Okay? So don't try if you have a children's film. It's not for them. Other fundings. There is several writing fundings to help people to develop the projects in different regions. And there is also original funding music, giving something like between 2,500 euros and 4,000 euros. So in many different places you can apply and get this fund only dedicated to original music creation. A word about Annecy, Annecy Festival. Inside the MIFA, the film market, there is a call of projects that you know. It's not only for short films, but there is also the project for short films, and it's very, it gives a lot of opportunities to meet some investors, producers, broadcasters, things like that. But it's very difficult because there is many projects from all over the world, and it's very difficult to be selected and to be awarded in this call of project. And there is a new thing called Animation of the World to help countries, to emerging countries in animation. And each year there is a new country, and they select, it's very specific, they are doing some workshop in the country, and they select 1 or 2 projects who has the possibility to pitch during the MIFA. Very useful. I did this for Georgia, and it was very successful, I must say. There is also these animation residencies. We have several in France. These one are for short films. Abigail de Fontevraud, west of France, has 1 month residency. So they give you an amount of money. They invite you for 1 month to work on the film. We call it writing residency, but in fact you can do what you want. You can do the film if you want during 1 month. You are just free. You are 12 people and have just one thing to do to do your film or whatever you want. It's very free, very open, in fact. Fonimage has a residency for Ugandan's short films, short animation films. So it's 1 project a year. They invite you in the studio in Fonimage, which is in Valence. It is southeast of France, and they give you the money to do the film, and they give you the technicians to do the film with you if you need it, and you can spend 1 year to do the film, something like that. Le Frénois is a bit specific. It's more for it's not really dedicated to animation, but that could be also animation project. It's contemporary art, something like that. So that could be installations, that could be live action films, that could be animations, but very experimental things and things like that. And there is also this house of authors in Angoulême. It's more dedicated to comics artists, but also they can invite some people doing animation, and it's a place you can stay for from 1 month to 1 year. It depends on the project, what you need, and you have a place to work, and you have a small amount of money to live, of course, and you can work. And here's some photos. Here is this one is Fontevraud. It's a wonderful place. This is Fonimage. And in this building, there is also the animation school La Poudrière and a few other production companies. This is Cyclic. I have to say a word about Cyclic. Cyclic is connected to the regional funding in center region in France. And so they give money to do the production of the film, and they invite you to spend 4 or 6 months in this place dedicated to traditional animation, we could say. You can do stop motion, cutouts, or anything, or 2D animation in this place for several months with your team. You can live here, and that's it. There is no industry in this part of France, but there is this residency, very, very nice. And this is the house in Angoulême for the authors. I think that's it. So you see, it's very open system, and the only thing is you have to convince a producer, a French producer, and it's very open system, but as it is rich and open, there is many people who wants to do short films from France, but also from abroad. We produce many foreigners in France, so it's very competitive. It's not so easy as it sounds in this presentation. Sometimes people think, okay, we have a French producer, we will succeed to have a lot of money, but sometimes not, because the competition is very tough. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's if you are interested in like all types of the regional film funds, you can check the Cine-Regio, which is like an organization which is like a combination. This is the association of the regional film funds. So you can check on their website, and also they have a system which is called Animarco, and this is only the regional film funds which are funding the animations. So this is the places you can look for. I think we all have, and we will have all a lot of questions to Olivier, but we're gonna leave this maybe questions at the end of the meeting. Maybe if Abigail can just say something now about the British system and how does it work in London and in surroundings.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming this afternoon. I'm very sorry, I don't have any visuals, so you're just going to have to look at me for a little while. But I have a lot less to say, because sadly in the UK we don't actually have any dedicated animation funding, so I shall keep this brief. And also I have to say, apologies for Brexit. It's not my fault, but on behalf of the British people, apologies. So yeah, I'm a producer, and I run a production company called Animate Projects. And we're most famous for a scheme called Animate TV, which was run in the UK by the Arts Council and Channel 4 from 1990 until 2009. I'm not old enough to have been doing it since 1990, but I was doing it from 2007 until 2009. And that was brilliant. We had a good funding pot. We would have an open call for animators, and we'd give them production funding and support, and their films would go on Channel 4 television. Sadly, that's not the case anymore. Lots of broadcasters have cut their arts funding in the UK. So there's only on Channel 4 now something called Random Acts, which are 3-minute films, and they have a budget of around €5,000, which is pretty poor compared to how it was, say, 20, 30 years ago. So as a producer, obviously I have to think very creatively about how to find funding for films. So we do a lot of interdisciplinary projects. We work with scientists, we work with musicians, we work with dancers, we work with writers. So we access funding through other schemes. For instance, there's a funder called the Wellcome Trust in the UK, and they fund projects that are about biomedicine. So you work with the scientists, and you help to kind of engage the public with different areas of science. So I did a project called Silent Signal recently, and I brought together 6 scientists and 6 artists, and they made films that were shown at UK galleries and at film festivals. So a bit more generally about what the funding is like now. So in terms of film funding, we have something called the BFI, the British Film Institute, and they're responsible for the majority of the film funding that happens in the UK. But their focus to date has mostly been on live action features, and they're very interested in cinema releases where they can recoup their investments. And from there, they devolve some of their funding and their resources to different agencies regionally, so different parts of the UK, different areas, including London. There is Film London. And also nationally, so there is a film agency in Wales, in Scotland, and in Northern Ireland. So all of these different agencies have their own funding pots, and they are very interested in talent development. And yes, so a lot of the funding is often for talent development rather than production funding, and is often very much focused on emerging talent, which is sort of 16 to 25-year-olds, which is obviously very depressing for the rest of us who are not 16 to 25-year-olds. So what we do a lot of the time, as well as working with other fields to get animation funding, there is the Arts Council England, and even though the BFI, who's responsible for film, and the Arts Council, who's responsible for art, neither of them seem to take any responsibility for animation at the moment. So we've been lobbying since about 2011. I run an organisation called Animation Alliance UK in the UK, and we constantly nag them and try and get them to acknowledge, both of them to acknowledge that they need to fund animation. So we have been quite successful, and we have been helping more and more animators over the years to access funding from the Arts Council. So there is at least that pot of money. There's also other arts organisations like Film London have something called the Artist Moving Image Network, and they do some small calls for artist film. And there's also things like Jerwood and Film Video Umbrella do annual awards for a couple of projects each year. And again, just thinking creatively, a lot of the time animators in the UK have to look to things like opportunities for working for museums to make films, to making videos for places like the Guardian newspaper, or for things like, there is something called the School of Life in the UK, so people like philosopher Alain de Botton will do a video, do like a soundbite for 2 or 3 minutes, and then they'll commission someone to animate it. So there are these sort of opportunities, small opportunities, but sadly, unlike France or other countries, we don't have any kind of major funding pots. But hopefully, the BFI is just reviewing its 5-year plan at the moment, and hopefully in the autumn, they are going to take animation into consideration when they go forward. This is what we've been told. So hopefully when they release their guidelines in the autumn, they are going to open up the genres that they fund, open up the durations of the film, so they won't just be looking at feature-length projects, but also short films, and acknowledging that there is more episodic work out there, so like web series, they're interested in funding those kind of things. And also that they will be looking a lot more at untested talent, so that they'll be taking more risks with the people they work with. So unfortunately, I can't say anything too positive at the moment, but do keep an eye on the UK in the future, and hopefully there'll be some animation funding. Thank you.
Yeah, Abigail, yeah. Yeah, the question is because Olivier was talking about a lot about co-production and how the system is open also for the other countries. So it's France is like really open country for the co-productions. How does it look like in England? Is it like the producers from other parts of Europe can apply for the co-productions, and is it like an open system, or it's more concerned about the development of the British?
Yeah, it's more focused on Britain. You can see where Brexit comes from. We're only interested in ourselves. But there is in feature, we have a lot of co-production agreements for feature films in the UK, but hopefully that will extend out now a bit more to other formats as well.
And now, because I've got the feeling, because you all presented like a generalized idea and the information, how does the system work? But I think that maybe you have the question, how exactly start? So maybe Martin, now you can say like, you are the producer, you're like, you were involved in the production of features, you are a very experienced producer of the shorts, you are very active searcher of the co-production, because you are work very closely with France. So can you say, how did you, for example, realize the co-production with France, and how are you starting with, did you ever get the funding from the regional film funds? Or you are mostly concerned about the national funds, in case of France, for example?
Maybe I'm in the worst situation because Olivier has nice presentation. I don't have the presentation, so and I'm not so prepared, because I think that it will be more as the round table, and we could talk and answer to your questions.
I think we can go in that direction.
Yes. Aneta helps me with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe just before then I answer to the question, I will introduce about my experience. I started with animation 15 years ago with the feature-length films, and we produced 4 feature-length films. The reason was that in the era of the beginning of the century, the condition of the fund was the cinema distribution, which stay now also, but in the beginning of the 21st century was impossible to shoot the shorts with the cinema distribution. It was very complicated. It was only for the students' film probably. But the situation changed totally 5 years ago when we established the Association of the Producer in the Animation Film, when the fund supported the shorts. And the digitalizations opened the door for the distribution of the shorts in the cinema as the part of the feature film or the collections. And the small notes about the WAF, because that was the beginning. WAF, it's initiative of the associations from the Visegrad countries, but now we are not only the Visegrad countries. We have on the board the countries from the South Europe, And Visegrad now means that it's the Central European and East European countries. And it's not only the platform for the pitching of the shorts and TV series, but mainly it's the networking platform. That it means that it's the big opportunity to meet the other partners. And for example, that's the answer for the Aneta.
This is the answer for the question which I didn't say. That so where to look for the co-producers?
And that's the platform also for lobbying. So we are trying to change the mindset in the heads of the people from the TVs and from the funds to change the rules to be much comfortable to co-produce and cooperate. And that's all my shorts starts in the WAF. I co-produced three of French movies. One of them is with the Nicolas Schmerkin, with the André Chouadlena. Second one with the Dora Benusilio. Now we co-produced with the Christian Fall from the Lardux film. In the opposite, the French co-producers helps me to produce the short 3 of the Lucia Sunkova, which was the 50-50 per co-production. My first sentence, when you decided to shoot it, the professional, not student, professional short movie, my first sentence is that co-production, it's only one way how to do it. So animation means co-production. Okay, exist some exceptions. It's possible to make for the TV or make the very independent movie, but mainly if it's in the professional conditions, you have to look for the partner and co-producers. And in the Czech, for example, it's very complicated that it's not structurized as the France. So it means that you're looking for the foreign co-producers. You can involve as the producer the studio or the post-production facilities, but that's only the way how to secure part of the financing. And the fund now has the rule. Before the change, the rule was the condition that they supported 50% of the budget. But now the rules changed in Czech Republic. That now you can ask in the exceptions, especially for the shorts animation, that you could ask over the 80%. So it's much more money and it's much possible to secure the part of the budget.
And you can finance all parts of the production. So yeah, so
the fund supported the literary development, and the development means full development. It means the art designs. And also the storyboard, for example. Yeah.
Right. And about the production and post-production also?
And for the production, not for the post-production, but they have also the special call for the distribution. For example, this year we asked as the association of the of the producers of animated films, we asked for the support for the distribution of the Visegrad New Talents, which is also one of the initiative of the Visegrad. Yeah. So we got the support for the promote and distribute 11 shorts from the Visegrad countries for this year.
Yeah. So you can look for the support at the national level. You can look at the regional film fund on every level of your production, and Visegrad Forum is like a perfect platform to come to meet the producers from France, from Great Britain, from Czech Republic, and just look for the co-production. So yeah, this is like one of the places you can look for.
The advance of the Treboň is that it's a small town and everybody has time to talk with you. If you will go to the Annecy, how to Olivier described, that's the big market with the 3,000 people, which they are looking for the strong partnership. So it's very competitive and everybody has the schedule with the 20 minutes slots. So it's totally different. In the Treboň they give you the dinner or more of the time. And just the one thing about the shorts, the reason for the shorts, there is more reasons, of course. One of them it's that's the laboratory for the artists. That mainly the shorts, it's the possibility for the authors shooting their ideas, their technologies. But for the producers, it's also the laboratory for the try to cooperate. So it's the very good chance to know your partner. To cooperate, to share the work, and take the experience for the short, for the feature films also.
Right, and maybe because I know that there's like also representatives of a couple of countries, other countries here. Maybe some of you want to share the information. How does it work? Regional film funds at your country. Or maybe, is there anybody who applied for the Regional Film Fund? Yes? Yeah?
Hello, I'm Olivier from Slovenia, from production company in Vida. In Slovenia we have a regional fund. Slovenia is a small country, so we have just one fund. Slovenian Film Center funds short films and also feature films, but only for short films actually we can have funds for animation. In the past we have just the fund for animation films, which was later stopped. It was just for 1 year. But now we're hoping, hope we'll have opportunity to have this fund again just for animation films. But normally we can apply for the fund that is for short films, and we can also apply on fund on national television, which really supports lots of film each year. I think altogether a year, how many films we have? 8 to 10 short films can be applied, or can get funds from the national television and the Slovenian Film Center. Yeah, that's it. We don't have an option for series, but also this is we are thinking about. This year we have here on WAF also the representative of the national television and the representative of the Slovenian Film Center. So hopefully these meetings and everything else will come together to have better solutions for funds for animation, not even for Slovenia, but to cooperate with the co-production from all the Visegrad and the other countries. Okay, thank you.
Any other remark or feedback? Maybe? No? Ah, yes? Oh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Rejka Tempel from Cinnamon, Hungary, and I will make a presentation just after that. And in Hungary, we have a fund, national film, no, not the National Film Fund, but the Hungarian National Television, who they fund short films, and our studio is always looking for short ideas. So if you are a short filmmaker, we're very open to see your projects, because there are 3 to 4 times chance to win quite a big amount of money for short films in Hungary, and we also have a tax incentive system. So if you have a Hungarian producer or a production company, they can get 2 types of money: one, a direct money from a fund, and secondly, a tax incentive system, which is based on every expenditure you have in the country. So if you have an idea, we can have 2 sorts of, I can tell you in details later on, of course, but we are always looking for good ideas for shorts and for series.
Thank you. I have only a question. Is it like in case of a short animation that the Regional Film Fund can be actually a proposal as strong as a national funding? Can it really, like, what type of budgets are we talking about in case of regional funds? How does it look in France? Is it like a similar amount of money you can get from the national fund, or it's like much more less?
It's less money. Regional fund is most of the time is around 20 to 40,000 euros, and the national fund is about 70 to 90,000 euros. So, right. And the budget of short films in general are about between 100 to 200,000 euros.
Right. So you can treat a regional fund as some kind of to complement the budget of the full productions. Do you have any other remarks or like question maybe to the panelists?
Maybe I have just one note. When I told that the animation means co-production, there is just the second sentence: co-productions increase your costs. But that's the game. Yeah, you means the other producer has his cost, his obligations, but they help you to secure the budget. Yeah.
Right. So in case of your experience, is it like how does it work in practice? Like how to based on your experience.
First of all, how I said, the co-production increase your cost. Mainly, from my point of view, make sense the bilateral co-production because it's easier. It's easier, and the costs are sharing only between two sides. The Superbia, which we co-produced with the Hungary, was exception, and that was the coincidences that we cooperate very closely with the Slovakian studio. But it's exception. Mainly, from my point of view, for the short film, makes sense cooperate with other country only bilaterally. Yeah. And it means that the condition of European rules is that the co-production must be less than 80 to 20%, if in the bilateral co-productions. Yeah. In trilateral, it's possible to go to the 10% in the smaller part.
And is it in case of a short animation?
Of course, also in feature films, but it's also in for shorts.
And did you make the movie with more than the, I don't know? Because I think 2-3 co-producers is like a limit, or
no? That's only the all kind of co-production brings you the complication and increase your costs. So you must rebuild the budget. You must rebuild in trilateral. You must rebuild the financial plan, and also it's a question about the pipeline that you have to wait for your partners that they apply for their funds. So it's everything takes the time. So that's the reasons why I prefer the bilateral co-production, because you're waiting only for one partner.
And how does it work in practice with the production? So are you like
the pure example? It's the tree of the Lucia Sumkova. We met the Dora Benusilio with her feature film with the same technique, and we proposed her. We secured a part of her budget in Czech side, and she postponed the realization because she has the problem with the financing of the feature film, and we proposed her all short for the 15 minutes. And she said, yeah, it's nice story, it's nice technology, it's very helpful for us that we could test it also this part of animation and people. So we sharing that the part of animation was on Czech sides, the part of post-production, mainly visual effects, VFX, was made in France, and big support for us was the sound post-production and the music composer. So Dora brings us the very clever, talented composer, which was the increase, that's the second advance of the co-production, that you met the other people, and they give you the other point of view and other cooperation and other skills. So for the Lucia was the surprising that she used the French composer, and she liked it very much.
Nice. And Olivier, from your experience, how does it look like? What France is looking for, and what we can, as a other country, offer to France? What is interesting from, I think, French point of view in the co-productions?
I think it's interesting artistically to do some co-productions, and many French producers are looking for some talents from abroad, and so they are most of the time very open to co-productions. Of course, there is some problem, but it's also very interesting to do this. It's more, in my experience, co-production comes from a foreign country trying to get a French co-producer, or a French producer wanting to produce a foreigner. You mean, it's rarely it happens that a French producer wants to co-produce with a foreign country, with a French director, for instance. It can happen, but probably with Belgium or Swiss, maybe. But it's, yes, it's like that. It's possible to share the work on the film, and it depends on the skills of the producer. And for instance, I made a co-production for stop motion. So we had, it was a Swiss project at the beginning, and they made the sets and most of the part of the animation. We had a co-producer in Brittany who made the puppets, and my production company made mostly the 2D post-production, 2D, 3D post-production, and so on. So it's also a way to share the work. But it's not an obligation to share the work. If it's useful, you can share the work. Mm.
Any questions? Do you want to ask about maybe like from their personal country point of view? No, it's like, is there anybody here who already like was involved in any co-production, like between two countries? Not yet. So yeah, we are all interested. How does it work? That's why we are here. All right. So I think the interesting part also is that you can apply to a regional fund. You have to always check because I think all of the regional fund has a different approach to the projects. So they are interested in, sometimes they support only some piece of the production. So some regional funds are funding only the pre-production, some post-production. And what is also interesting, some of the funds are like open constantly for the applications. So some of them have deadlines. You always have to check how does it work with certain regional film fund. But some of them, for example, especially about the feature projects, they are open the whole year for like applicants. So you can always apply with your project. All right. Abigail, do you have maybe anything to about the British system? Because you said that it's pretty close system, but maybe there's like, do you see, for example, in case of Film London? Because I know that they has this microwave program, which is like open also for the people from outside. So they're interested also in like.
It's only for UK talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's only for the UK talent.
Yeah.
Or? All right.
Yeah, no, all of the funding schemes. So when I talk about national and regional, so like national, Scotland is interested in Scottish talent, London is interested in London talent. So it's very much, yes.
British oriented.
Yes, it is, yeah.
All right. So
hopefully this will change. I don't know, maybe we're not helping ourselves. Maybe it might make us more amenable to Europe if we start opening up a bit more.
Right. Yeah, and I would wish to leave the sentence as the end of this panel. Or maybe, Martin, you want to add something more?
I have just one thing, which is the idea in the besides of the funds that the co-productions, it's also about the reciprocity. It's not means that the same producer will help you with your project next time, but maybe the other producer from other country will help you. So that's the very strong idea, which it's necessary to when you go to the co-production, you can think and that next time the other country will help you. Yeah, that's the idea of the European co-productions.
Yeah, so feel invited for all the other events of this Visegrad Animation Forum edition, and also feel invited for the next year edition, or you can apply with your projects. You can just come to visit us to look for the co-producers and interesting producers who are like interested in finding the right artistic projects. And now I would like not say goodbye, but I just hope that some of you will stay for the next panel and the presentation of the Cinnamon Entertainment Studio. So thank you. But now I would like to thank all of the panelists. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Yeah. If you were if your questions were so specific that you didn't want to share the questions here with us, then you can of course find the panelists now and just like ask them certain questions. Yeah.